make sure we're dialed and good to go. I'm Erica. I've met most of you if you've been on former trainings this time around. I have led the first two, and then we had Andrew, and now this is our fourth session. Super excited to be here. Thanks for those who have attended several of the trainings up until now. We've gotten good feedback. Hopefully, you've had a chance to fill out the survey, and also hopefully just more anecdotally, you found value in these presentations. We put a lot of time and thought into making sure our topics are highly effective and helpful for each of you. So glad to have you here, and thanks for making time on this Friday afternoon, evening, wherever you reside. My name's Erica, as mentioned, so I will avoid having to give you another introduction because most of you know me, but I'm going to pass it over to Ellie. Ellie is our star of the show today, and she runs content and courses here at Leland. So really excited to have her. Ellie, take it away.
Yeah, hi everyone. Like Eric mentioned, I'm Ellie. I am in charge of courses and content here at Leland. So that essentially translates to Leland Plus library paid content, as well as our courses offerings. So those are things like boot camps, things like that. It's a fun, wild ride. Happy to be here. My journey to Leland, kind of a fun one. My background in academically is in biology. I studied fish for a while and then made a pivot into consulting. I worked at McKinsey for several years, but really excited to be here at Leland. I've been here since November of last year. So happy to be here. Happy to talk about all things great content.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to dive in. I'm sure a lot of people hopefully will be watching the recording. This is a really important session. I think it's probably the most technical out of all of them so far. I mean, maybe the last one a bit more tactical in terms of what to do, but this one is really important, especially if you're like really, really trying to get the top insight into how to make good content, which is kind of, I think, a huge part of the future of this company. So our purpose today is learn how to build content and support and elevate your coaching business. Content attracts leads, converts to customers, supports them in their journey, and keeps them engaged long term. It also demonstrates your expertise and your coaching brand. As mentioned before, we want this to be highly interactive. We don't want this to be just us speaking to you, so feel free to chime in. I think it was in the first session that we did with Tim, or Tim wasn't a panelist, but he chimed in and said that content has been such a driving force for his business, given that he can send it to users. People have found him via content, and then he can kind of use it as a way to support them, or after intro calls, he can send them a piece of content. So really, I've seen content at Leland be kind of like the part of the entire ecosystem, right? Like SEO drives people to your page. Content helps share your expertise, supports your coaching business, and also helps it grow as well. So here's what we'll discuss. What should I care about? What does high value content look like? How do I generate it? And where should I start creating content, as well as just, yeah, the how behind everything. And hopefully we'll have enough time for Q&A. So just as like a high level overview, why is content important? It enables you to sell yourself to high intent clients at scale, showcases your attention to detail and expertise, builds trust. They see your amazing content and want to work with you, and then helps differentiate you as you close your packages. So these are kind of things we've talked about in all of the sessions. I feel like content has kind of been woven throughout. For many reasons. I think in our training that we do every onboarding with new coaches, one of the primary things we state with things like Leland Plus is that if one like kind of unique thing about Leland is that if you read or interact with content, you actually get to interact with the coach. I think there are a lot of companies that have, video trainings or video content or written content, and then there's no way to actually access that individual. And so what's really cool is like if someone goes on Leland Plus, they like your material, they like your videos, they can actually now work with you one-on-one. So there's a lot of value in creating really, really high quality content to help sell, to help build trust, to help support. And really the whole dream of Leland is that people can reach their desired goals. And we really see content being a crucial part of that experience. So high value content can strengthen every element of your coaching business. So to generate leads and build your brand, why should people work with you? What can you offer them? So that's kind of before. And then during, it supports them in their journey. So think about what kind of steps do they need to take, what resources are helpful, which is like supplementary to you actually just speaking. One of the other points I make during the onboarding process with new coaches is that coaching is very different than like a free commute to work call that you take with a mentee. I think we've all like, hopped on a phone call with a mentor. We've hopped on, a coffee chat or met at a local Starbucks. But what I always say during training is that what really differentiates coaching from like a free mentoring is the preparation, the content, the resources that supplement you just sharing your expertise. And so I show during that onboarding session things like, guides you can send users, articles you can write, all of that. And I really do believe that like if you do have that toolkit and that resource library, you are really showing people that there's value in you as a coach and buying your coaching outside of just this knowledge that you've, have in your head that you're willing to share. So I'm going to walk through an anecdote. I think a lot of this presentation can be telling, but instead we're going to show you through some actual experiences that have happened. So Mike, a great Leland team member, you've probably seen him in the Slack. He runs all things product at Leland, and he's done an exceptional job as well building his coaching business on the platform. I think he told me yesterday he's coached 10,000 minutes on Leland, which is awesome. Like that's outside of his normal job. That's outside of him talking with coaches. But he's built this business around the Atlassian APM program, which is very niche, but he got in it. He did it. He actually did an internship with Leland, left us to go intern with Atlassian, and then came back. And he's done a few things to really distinguish himself through content. He worked with us to write and publish an article specifically on the APM program that got a ton of traffic, because as you can imagine, someone gets an interview, the first thing they type is like, how do I nail this specific interview? Then from there, he added a series of related resources to Leland Plus that he could send to potential leads. So there's this like free, the one here you see, here is free. It's just like some tips that got picked up with SEO. And then from there, he moved to actual like Leland Plus materials that are a bit more technical. So challenges that he put together. He submitted his own like practice take home that he did. So there's like now this really, really valuable resource library in Leland Plus. And then as you can see, he's got a lot of clients that landed the APM Atlassian role. I think Mike probably accounts for like 50% of the Atlassian APM program at this point have gone through his coaching. And that all really started through this amazing article. So there was no gatekeeping originally. He's just said, hey, I'm going to write like a good high quality tip article. Then I'm going to have that high quality Leland Plus material that's actually behind the paywall. And then I can help people land their jobs. He then turned into kind of like the go-to one-on-one APM instructor coach for one-on-one support as it related to this internship program. And for that reason, he was able to actually help them. It wasn't just the article or the Leland Plus, it was actually him coaching them, which was fed through all of these different resources. So as you can see, you have unique experience and expertise. It allows you to distribute that at scale. People will find you helpful. They'll see your expertise. They'll kind of turn to you as like the expert in that subject matter. And then coaching clients equals successful outcomes equals more money and more growth as you grow on the platform. Like if you can find that, share your expertise, then help and get those outcomes, that's really where your business begins. Ellie, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yeah. So clearly good content is good for the coach, but how do we actually create good content? And when we think about this question, I also want us to address like a little bit like why create the good content itself. So we can go to the next slide there. So like Erica mentioned, the quality of your content can directly impact your ability to make money on Leland. This can be the difference between only doing like one-off hourly coaching versus getting a package. Can you include content in a package that's attractive to a client? It also allows you to build a passive income stream where you only have to build it once and then it lives on our Leland Plus platform, and you can generate income passively from there. It also creates leads from folks who interact with your content and then go to your profile from that content. And it also allows you to create like a brand. Like, not only do I do coaching, but I also design the supplementary material that will help you achieve your goals. So let's chat through how we can do this. So we have kind of 4 pillars of high quality content. 1, is it relevant? Is it valuable? 2, does this feel authentic? And also, is it original? Are you offering a value that isn't found somewhere else? 3, talking a little bit more about the actual content of the content. Is that engaging? Is it clear? And then 4th, is it polished? Does it have a high production quality? We're going to double click into each of these, which I guess I already did. Is it helpful? Is it unique? Do you understand it? And does it look and feel good as someone who is going through that content? So let's chat a little bit more about relevance and value. So Leland Plus users have collectively spent like over 300 days of time on example application essays. This is pulled from our MBA program. So this is an example MBA application essay from Booth here. Why? Why do they spend so much time on applications? Well, writing an MBA application, specifically writing, is challenging for most, if not all, folks who are applying to an MBA program. This is competitive. This can make or break parts of your application. And so it's extremely relevant to folks who are trying to pursue this specific goal. And having an example, having a sample is incredibly helpful. We can go to the next one. And let's talk about original and authentic. So I have here kind of a snippet from an article that one of our coaches, Ben, who I think has also been on this series, you've probably met him. He wrote this awesome article about his particular path to Stanford's MBA program. It talks about his experience, and it lives at the bottom of his coaching profile. It's like a regular touch point for folks who are looking at his profile, for folks who are thinking about working with Ben and want to get a sense for his style. So it's not that you have to only do intro calls in order to communicate that. You can also use content to communicate your approach to coaching, your personal experiences, your vibe, if you will. And those things matter to clients who are thinking about pursuing coaching or establishing a coaching relationship with you on our platform. And having content that is original, authentic to you, can communicate that value.
Really quick, Ellie, not to chime in, but
Yes, please.
this was like one of our first articles on Leland that picked up on SEO. Like Ben, early days, I'm sure you all have seen Ben very actively in the Leland platform, like in the Slack. Like Ben is kind of known as one of our top coaches. It really, really started by like how he differentiated himself. And I saw this article like low-key blow up. Like, I don't know what people were searching or why people liked it so much, but this drew a lot of people his way, which like got him a ton of inbound traffic. And then to Ellie's point, like it humanized him, right? Like he can write an article on, my top tips to getting through the GSB, or he can frame it as something that feels very personal. Maybe like the title is a little clickbaity, but that worked and it stuck and it resonated with people. So I'll pass it back to you, but I truly remember the moment this article was going wild.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe the original, the authentic piece can feel maybe a bit soft compared to some of the other tactical things that you'd put in content. But one thing I think I'd underscore here is when folks have big goals, there's a lot of mixed emotions around there. There's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of motivation. I'd say there's also some anxiety. And so being able to build a connection with a coach through some content like this can be super helpful, to Erica's point about humanizing yourself and the rest of your coaching platform. All right, engaging and clear. Now we're kind of getting into some of the tactical pieces of producing content. So we have this paragraph. I'll read it out loud really quick. It's about breaking into consulting. Breaking into consulting isn't just about having a great resume. It's about thinking and communicating like a consultant. In a case interview, you'll need to break down ambiguous problems, structure your approach on the spot, and confidently guide your interviewer through your logic. The best candidates don't just solve the case. They engage in a conversation, ask smart, clarifying questions, and adapt their framework in real time. Cool. I feel like I have a good understanding of what breaking into consulting looks like. Awesome. Let's go to the next one. Now, we have a similar piece of communication. It's much shorter, as you can just tell visually. So this says, getting a job in consulting means you have to do well in interviews. You should be able to solve problems and explain your answers. It's also important to ask questions and think logically. If you practice enough, you will get better at it and you will have a better chance of getting hired. So the main points between these two passages, very similar. How do you break into consulting? Here's the things that you need to do, a complete XYZ steps. But the way it was said is pretty different here. The first one, a little bit longer, not super energizing. This one, it's more concise. The points are, I think, a little bit clearer. There's not as many, we're saying the same thing in fewer words. And additionally, we've added in things about, hey, do these things, you increase your chances of achieving your goal. Do these things, you are getting closer to your goal. It's more progress oriented. And that's helpful when we're thinking about content, specifically in the context of coaching and helping our clients achieve their goals. We can go to the next one. All right, production quality. Does it look and feel good? We've highlighted here Tanner from our team. He's our designer. He makes everything look and feel good on the Leland platform, and super grateful for him. When we're thinking about events and any kind of Leland sponsored event or piece of content, we use a similar well-designed slide deck. It's consistent, it is Leland branded, it feels good, it looks good. And that consistency, the branding and polish all contribute to an inherent sense of like legitimacy. If something looks good, it feels good, you trust that. Not only does you can have content that is helpful, that is valuable, that you're sharing good information, but if it does not look polished, if it does not look professional, that can break pieces of content. So when it comes to building something high quality, thinking about how it looks beyond the actual content itself is super valuable. It can increase the odds of that landing and feeling like a reputable and trusted source of information.
I'll just add really fast.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, why is it not letting me go back? That this is like very, very important for Leland Plus. Like we see, like naturally when you submit Leland articles, they kind of have like picture extensions or they just kind of like fit the product design as is. But I've seen with Leland Plus, the differentiator being like sometimes coaches will just like throw together materials or throw together a deck and often we will reject it and give that feedback. But to Ellie's point, like the number one thing you can do to like obviously the insight you provide is the most important thing, but to keep their attention, to get their trust, to build that confidence, I think look and feel in that investment in how it presents itself is going to be really crucial to defining your brand and showcasing that it is legit versus, kind of roughly thrown together. Take it away, Ellie.
Amazing. Yes. So as we're thinking through this, ask yourself, does this content reflect my expertise and my perspective? These are just some helpful reflective questions as you're thinking through, like, is this great content? Let's also think through, will my target audience be able to understand the points I'm trying to get across? Is it clear? Is it engaging? Would someone who engages with this content have a reason to buy coaching from me? I think this kind of appeals to that first point. Is it communicating my expertise? Is it showing how I can help them achieve their goals? And lastly, are you providing something unique that isn't readily accessible? I think going back to the example with Mike was offering a unique piece of content that was not readily accessible elsewhere. That was a huge value for people who were looking for something, even if it was in a niche space. So thinking through, can I offer something like that? What unique perspective, what unique information can I provide that might not be readily accessible elsewhere? And some additional tips and tricks here. Leverage our existing templates. Leverage Tanner's excellent work. We love to see it everywhere. A smile comes to my face when I see something that comes in Leland branded in our nice Leland green. We have these materials and we want you to use them. If you have questions about them, questions about these resources, please reach out to me and I'm happy to help sort things out there. Also leverage tools like Canva. Canva is free and it has amazing design capabilities to produce something that feels polished. You can elevate a PDF, you can elevate a Word doc, and we have those designed out and ready to use. So definitely take a look at those as well. Point 2, get feedback from a third party, someone whose opinion you value and trust. I think it's very easy. You don't often recognize your own blind spots. So having someone getting a second pair of eyes on content that you're producing can help you find quick fixes or maybe some larger structural changes that you can do to improve the quality of your content. Similar, take a break, come back with a fresh set of eyes. We get so close to our own work, our own content. Being able to take a break and come back can help relieve some of the fatigue there, and you can come back with some new perspectives. And last point, helpful to see what's already out there before you begin. I'm happy to chat about what's already on Leland Plus if you have questions about that. I saw a question in the chat about this, and happy to kind of see what we already have, where are some gaps that you'd be able to fill in some great content or add a different perspective. All those things, those are questions, those are insights that I welcome and also want to give.
Ellie, where
Yes.
do we find the resources for this? I know there's I have the link to the Canva, but you said other graphics and stuff. Is there a place where we can find links or?
Yeah, we can get that for you. By and large, the templates, like the Canva templates, will get you like 90% of the way there. If there is a specific graphic or icon that you're looking for, feel free to ping us and we can see what you need and get you the resources that you need
Okay,
there.
I have the Canva link. Thanks.
Perfect. So yeah, just to kind of recap, the power of content is being able to communicate your unique experience, your unique expertise, and being able to bring that to a wider audience and translating those leads into coaching that continues an established coaching relationship that moves long term as you're helping folks achieve their various goals. And that content is a direct representation of what you offer. So taking a time to invest in great content, making sure that it's accessible, whether that's free blog posts or articles that are connected to your profile or paid content that lives on our Leland Plus library. These are great ways to start establishing that and building out your coaching platform with Leland, and we are here to help you every step of the way. So, sorry, I wasn't sure if Eric was chiming in there. Let's talk about starting to create content. So we've kind of talked about why do content, what great content looks like. Let's talk about like, okay, now how do I actually go about creating this? As we've mentioned, we have kind of two flavors of content outside of your typical coaching. We have Leland Plus. This is a paid platform. It's subscription-based where clients can pay a subscription to access our content library. It's broken out by various categories, and you can contribute things like videos, templates, sample essays, example interviews, all sorts of resources that might be helpful for an individual who's trying to achieve any specific goal, whether that's getting a job, applying to school, thinking through their next career pivot, things like that. Those kinds of content do great on Leland Plus. We love to have them live there, and you can earn income passively by submitting our content there. Next, we have blog articles. These are huge for like generating like SEO leads. So you can review and add your expertise to these articles. You can link them to your profile and drive traffic to your profile from there. This is not paid content. This is free. And again, we focus on this being like organically reachable through SEO and things like that. Okay, a little bit more on Leland Plus. If you are curious about Leland Plus, if you'd like to submit something for Leland Plus, you can go to your Leland coaching dashboard, and maybe I'll share my screen and should kind of walk through this flow, if that works. One second, let me get that all queued up and I can share my screen. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. So you're on your Leland dashboard. Yours might look a little bit different than mine because I am a Leland employee, but most of this left-hand side menu is largely the same. You're going to go to offerings. You're going to go to Leland Plus. You will arrive here. Here we have kind of three different formats of content and an opportunity to submit them here. So you can submit video content. This can be anything from I'm explaining a concept, or I'm doing a mock interview, or I'm explaining some other various component of an application or a recruiting process. If I'm a test prep tutor, maybe I'm explaining how you complete this kind of problem. That's video content. Examples, this is anything that's kind of like a static PDF type content. So it can be example resumes, example cover letters, essays. Again, essays are huge. Everybody has so much anxiety about essay writing. Other things like letters of recommendation, things like that. These are helpful resources. They're static, but they're great for being able to review what that might look like. And then we have things like templates, whether that's like a template for a resume or other downloadable content that folks can use as they're trying to build out something of their own. If you are interested in submitting, very straightforward. You'll hit submit. it will take you to this Google submissions form. You'll fill out this category, not category, you'll fill out these questions. Some key things: you need to own the rights to any content you are submitting. The IP that you submit in any content needs to be yours, or you need to have the permissions to be sharing it. Additionally, we require that nothing has outside branding on it. We want it to be Leland branded and feel like it lives and it's a cohesive part of our Leland ecosystem. And then, of course, do some basic checks on like the quality. Are your pictures, if you include them, are they grainy or are they high resolution? If you're submitting something like a video, are you in a good filming environment in the sense that you have a nice background, the audio is clear, the video quality is also high, things like that. Once you submit it here, that goes to our Leland team. We review it. We'll get back to you if there's feedback or things that we'd like you to adjust, and then go from there. And then once we do have it on Leland Plus, we'll notify you so that you know it's live. And that is the general Leland Plus flow. Again, lots of different ways to submit here. Every now and then we will request specific content from our coaches, so you can review that at this place here. And we also have opportunities to refer clients to Leland Plus and things like that, and some frequently asked questions on this page. Again, that's just from your coaching profile. Go to offerings and select Leland Plus, and it'll bring you to this page. All right, we can dive back into our slide deck.
I have a question, Ellie. So if we do
Yes.
free events, do the recordings automatically go onto Leland Plus? Or does it
So
depend?
not automatically, they do undergo a bit of processing, but Amanda from our events team is the right person to ask in terms of timing and kind of what gets where and by when.
I can answer that really fast. Amanda is the whiz. She is literally the one who's uploading it and then or sending it out and then uploading. Because of time zones and just like people's schedules, our new rule of thumb moving forward is that 2 days after the event, we will send the recording and they have free access to it on YouTube for 3 days. After those 3 days, we will upload it on Leland Plus, assuming it passes the quality bar. We won't upload everything, especially if it's, you know, well, yeah, it isn't quality enough to be on Leland Plus, or there's like plagiarism involved, or the content isn't theirs. So we do like a tiny bit of screening before we do that, but the goal is that coaches who run free events can also then make passive income off their event recordings moving forward. It's a really great way to scale their expertise.
Perfect. Yeah. And then this last QR code here is a more in-depth guide to Leland Plus content that lives on Coach's Corner. If you're thinking about producing content and want to just be very familiar with kind of what our process is outside of the high-level submission process, you can go ahead and scan that QR code. It'll mention some of the things that Erica and I have highlighted, things like quality bar, making sure that you own the material you're submitting, removing outside branding, things like that.
Cool. I'm just making sure, Ellie, were there any resources we needed to drop in the chat, if you don't mind?
Yeah, let me drop, let me
think it's
drop
the
the
Leland
link to
Plus.
that resource.
Perfect.
Actually. Would love to go down there.
Okay, I'm gonna go through this slide really fast while Ellie drops that. I'm sure you all have seen Amelia. She runs all of our organic content. She actually helped design this deck, and she was going to be on the presentation today, but she's unfortunately out of office. But she is piloting this new program that will help you share your knowledge and generate leads as effectively as possible. This is all based on a lot of research in the SEO space that Amelia has put in. As you know, she's been here for almost 3.5 years running our content and SEO. So she's really, really great at her craft and has kind of figured out a way in which we can scale SEO efforts while helping support individual experts like each of you. So if you're interested in being part of this pilot, please scan this QR code, reach out to Amelia, and you'll also see very actively in the coaches Slack, Amelia writing our updates about this. So for example, she most recently dropped in the MBA channel about the MBA efforts around this. And as we continue to grow it and test it and see how it functions, we will move across categories and keep you all looped in. So definitely stay in the loop here. This is a really, really great way to low lift and showcase your expertise, because the whole vision is that you don't have to do it on your own or do the research to see what sticks, but that can be done largely by our team. And then you can put your magic touch of expertise on these resources to really bless it and share trustworthy and legitimate expertise with the world.
Can I pipe in? Because I just did
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not that much, it's really not that much work to get a byline on an article. So I recommend reaching out to her if you are interested or filling out that form.
Yeah, and Johnny, do you want to talk about the process? I know you just did a few, so if you
Yeah.
want to share kind of what it looked like,
Yeah, so I got a link to the article for review. It was about a law school application specific topic. And it's pretty, so I learned that for search engine optimization, the articles are a little bit different than you might write yourself. And so I did talk to Amelia because I'm a pretty concise writer and I found some of the stuff repetitive. So, there'll be like 4 bullet points and then they'll go into each bullet point with a whole paragraph. And so my brain was like, why do we need the bullet points? But I guess the way it's actually produced is to make sure that when someone searches for that topic, it will pop up. And that's how you're going to get more traffic to your own profile. It's just the way things work. So I had to kind of train myself not to delete half of it. So, because for example, if that was like an admissions essay, I probably would have thrown it in the trash. But it's not. It actually it's like driving the points home. So I once I trained my brain not to delete all of it, I just kind of worked through and for example, it was switching back and forth between the third person like applicants, some applicants, blah blah blah, and then second person you. So I decided to change all of it to you, so it was more personal. So that was like one thing that I did, and then I did make it a little bit more concise. I think by the time I was done, it was 8 pages long, which was ridiculous. I think by the time I was done, it was like 6.5 pages long, which is in my mind still too long, but it still was optimized for search engines. And then you just send it back and you're done. So if you have a little spare time, I would suggest doing a few of those. I have a couple more in my queue, and I kind of pick at them when I have a little bit of lag time.
Yeah, and it's awesome too, to Ellie's earlier point, it will show up on your profile. There's like a whole section of articles that you're either the writer of or a co-writer of. So it's a really great way. Another thing I say during coach onboarding, if you've been through recently, sorry to be repetitive, but it is that when people are looking on Leland, we are a marketplace. So people are largely like shopping around. They want to look at different profiles. They want to see, 2 to 4 different coaches with whom they want to reach out and take an intro call. So anything you can do to really optimize your profile is going to be so important to then getting them to the next step, which is actually scheduling an intro call with you or booking time. And I find all these different things like putting a video on your profile, contributing to Leland Plus. You will then get like a banner on your profile that says that you're a contributor to Leland Plus. You'll have a whole section where your articles are. These are super important to kind of blinging out your page, but more importantly, to like showing them why you're qualified and showing them why they should take the next step of reaching out to you. Annie, great question around the statistics. We are working on more stats around like page views and stuff like that. So we'll roll that out. Probably not super soon amongst all the other more important things we have to get done right now, but it is definitely something we're that is top of mind for us because we've had a lot of questions from coaches around this and wanting to see what people are interacting with in their pages, etc. Take it away, Jesse.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple things there. Picking up on Indrani and talking about the articles, I actually just submitted my first one today as well. And in my case, it was on the 1-year programs and kind of the top 1-year programs out there. And so Amelia and I kind of went back and forth a little bit on some ideas of things that I might bring to it. And in this case, I did a small amount of changes on kind of what was there, and then added some original sections. So like in this case, it was, what are the pros and cons of doing a 1-year program, and who is it right for, right? These programs, sometimes a 2-year is much better than a 1-year, depending on your situation, especially if you're like a career changer or something like that. Anyway, you can spend, I think, a wide range of time on it. In my case, I really put a lot of time in. I think I spent about 3 or 4 hours today on it. But talking about quality, I think you really should focus on that, right? So you could churn out a lot of these articles, but better to, I think, spend the time on each one and really try and make something valuable and where you've really added something to it. Other important note, I think, on the Leland Plus issue, I know right now you're using a kind of white label system, and when you're going through it, you currently are not able to like click through to each coach. So if you contributed something, it's there. Really, really, really important to include something in your document or in the video that makes it easy to get to you. So I put in all of my documents, very clear. I've got in the header in each thing, my link to my Leland profile. And I always put something in the main body of the text at the end, basically saying, hey, if you want to work together, if you appreciate this, get in touch. On the videos, you can use the QR codes. So that's been my approach so far. I was thinking anything else I wanted to make sure to jump into. No, I think that's good for now.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's great, Jesse. Yes. Using headers, using links, using QR codes, ways that you can also plug your profile in Leland Plus content is great. It also kind of adds to a little bit like, hey, like this is Jesse's material. Like I know that it's his. I know what I'm looking at, and I know how to find him if I want more help. Any other questions, burning thoughts, comments?
I guess I'll just jump back on some
I
of the
love
other
it.
benefits. You just kind of reinforcing some of what you were saying earlier as far as the kind of power of all of these materials in building your brand and in leading eventually to more clients choosing you. And I'm finding that the more content that I've created, when I have an intro call or even after, I'm then sending them links to materials on Leland Plus, and the events are terrific for this. And I've done most of my events have gone into Leland Plus, but I've chosen, I think, I did an interview which I've put that on the public Leland side. So I have these conversations with them, and then after the fact, if they sometimes they've already seen it. I've had a lot of that actually, where through events or through other materials, they've then come to me, and when that happens, they're already quite convinced. They come in extremely interested. And on the other hand, if they haven't seen any of your materials before talking to you, you then can give them all of that, and they go and they spend all this time. And then one thing after another thing after another thing they can look at, including things that you send them of your own resources, I think and from my own experience, is really powerful and persuasive. And as you're kind of saying, really builds and demonstrates your expertise, and also gives them a taste of your style and what it would actually be like to work with you. So I think kind of creating that package. Other issue is it makes it more efficient for you, especially the things that you're going to send them. So developing your kind of kit of materials. So, you have your recommenders pack that you're going to give them. You have your questionnaire to help them through the introspection process, whatever it might be. So it's impressive to them, and it makes you more efficient so that you can, handle a little bit more business potentially. So anyone else have comments on any of those things?
Yeah, I have a quick comment, if I could also jump in. I find that after intro calls, the more quickly you can share something that is like very targeted to their like areas of need, problems, challenges that you have already developed, whether that's like a particular package that you are then recreating for them to customize it, or telling them like, hey, like I have like X, Y, and Z essays and I've helped so-and-so people get into it. They're on Leland Plus. Leland Plus, like the first month, I think is free if you sign up through some referral link. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that way they feel like they're getting a lot of value just by speaking with you, in addition to all of like the free advice that they got through the 15-minute call. And I feel like that way, like I've had pretty good success with converting calls to actual hourly and then like full packages because of the speed and the quality of which I'm delivering these like collateral, as Andrew puts it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Jesse, and thanks, Angela. I think these are great thoughts on kind of how you can deliver value, like real value, like very quickly, and how that translates to continued business on your platform. I also saw a question from Indrani about what attracts more viewers and downloads, video or PDF content. At least within the scope of Leland Plus, this kind of, I hate to give this answer, it does kind of depend. Part of that here is not every question or content piece is best translated in either format. So like some things are great in PDF form. So something like essay writing or something like that. Maybe you chat through tips in a video, but it's not super helpful to do like, let's go through an essay in a video necessarily. And unless maybe you're doing like a redlining exercise or something like that. A lot of the times for things like applications, videos, essays, resumes, cover letters, it's very helpful for folks to have an idea of like, this is what good is. So it's really nice to have like, here's a successful essay. This person got into Stanford Law with this essay. That's huge. Someone says, I know what good looks like now. I can try to replicate that myself. Something that might be helpful in a similar vein tied to essay writing might be things like a template, things that they can fill out, things that they can download and work on their own. But for video content, something like watching a mock interview, like that's a great fit for a video. Being able to watch someone go through a type of interview, or someone who is explaining, if you're in test prep, being like, let me tell you how to approach number properties for the GMAT. Like, let me break down that concept for you so you can think through that. That's great for video. And then maybe you supplement that with, here's some practice problems. Maybe we'll go through some of them live during this video, but also check out this practice set that I've created. It's a separate one in Leland Plus. You can go through, you can work through that on your own. I hope that helps. Maybe not the most concrete answer. It's always the worst when it is one of those, like, it depends, but.
Oh, I say it
Well-
depends 50 times during my free events when they're asking questions. So I get it. Thanks.
The payout on videos is better. That's like one thing. Value, like it depends totally, but because you get paid based on how long they interact with the content, videos tend to pay out more. So if that's something you're optimizing for, I mean, obviously don't have bad video quality. Like if you can't retain them, if they can't sit there and listen and get value, it's not going to help. But
Sure.
yeah, from like a payment standpoint, those tend to.
And
Yeah.
that is something we're actually actively thinking through, so we can make sure that our static content is also being properly kind of valued in our algorithm. But at current state, videos do tend to do a little bit better. That said, there are exceptions to this rule. Things like Mike's Take Home do fabulously well. Folks are spending a lot of time looking at that take home, working through it, staying on the site, working through things like that. Yes, Lindsay.
Hello. Just as I remember when we were trying to get this off the ground with the content originally, there was like a list of a spreadsheet of topics and people would fill in their names. Are we to operate in that realm, or are we kind of to take in what is already there and see how we can supplement accordingly?
It could be a little bit of both. If you have content that you think is great and you want it to be considered, you can go ahead and submit that in our survey. But if you also want to see like, what is there like a specific need? Can I fill it? That separate spreadsheet where you get to kind of like fill in there is helpful. That's something that we update pretty regularly. So feel free to check back on that. We've just completed like an audit of all of our Leland Plus content. So we're planning on getting some more updated ideas of kind of things and additional content that we want on Leland Plus across various categories.
Is
Okay,
that
and where do I
oh,
find
sorry.
that, Ellie? Is
Yeah,
that-
so if you go to the offerings tab on your coach profile and toggle to Leland Plus, we have a link to our view. It's called View Content Requests. Let me grab a link for you and I can post it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
You can also reach out at any point, Lindsay. We talk about that at the end on the last slide. Like if it is paid Leland Plus content, you can reach out to Ellie. If it is organic, like SEO, that like article system that we talked about, you can reach out to Amelia. And we're always happy to help because we're always, have like just based on like knowledge we've heard from customers, happy to collaborate on that, but also looking to you as like the expert in your space. You know what people look for, what matters to them. So we're always happy to banter on what might be most effective.
Yeah, sometimes I was thinking even just the softer topics of like building the confidence to take that courageous next step. And I'm like, that's not really a hard category per se, but it's more mindset shifting. So I wonder if there would ever be maybe that opportunity for opening up that category of like mindset, just getting yourself prepared.
Yeah, that's awesome. And super important. We actually just had, they're still in a meeting talking right now about new categories. So
Okay. Maybe
there
a quick
is one
ping.
that we're debating on that's like mindset and wellness,
Okay.
mindset and like all of that. So should be
Okay.
something that's rolling out here soon. Don't mark my words on the exact wording that they land on because I had to leave the meeting, but something around that is in the works.
Okay. Yeah, great. I'm glad to hear that. It's encouraging.
I have a more of a general question. I'm fairly new. I just joined in January and I've talked to, maybe a dozen people. It seems like all the great content that for the coaches, it's a little bit everywhere. Like it's some in Notion, you just shared a Google Sheet. There's some in LinkedIn, Leland Plus. It'd be great if because we land on the website, it would be great either we can do it, just a note, like I just add all the notes. Here's where I can find everything. And also like the things that you just mentioned, like content, the Leland Plus content. I submitted something. I don't know if it got up there. I don't have any feedback and I don't know where to find it. So it would be great if I submit stuff, I could actually put it in my coaching landing page. So it's there. Like, hey, this is the resume template. Here are the mock interviews or whatever that I'm about to do. I'm finding it hard to navigate as a coach.
Yeah,
And I don't know if anybody else had the same experience. Maybe
that's
it's just
helpful
me.
feedback, Annie. I appreciate it. And I'll look for your resume template and get you some information there.
Thank
Lots
you.
is changing. Lots is changing. Right now, we are currently rolling out our first ever like actual support software. So the Notion that you all interact with, like the Coaches Corner, will be moving over to our new like support hub in the next couple of weeks. So we're really trying our best to kind of take like all these learnings and make it easier to have different hubs and bring things on Stack. Like right now, as mentioned by Andrani, like Leland Plus is whitelisted on a third-party platform. We will eventually have boot camps and Leland Plus and things like on our actual platform, which will help with a lot of that same confusion of like, where does everything live?
Yeah.
Awesome.
This
Thank
kind
you.
of feedback, this input's super helpful. We talk about how we're going to improve this all the time. We have a list. We know what you want, so keep letting us know what you want, so we can build. As we're building this out, we want to make sure that it's good for coaches and great for clients. So,
Any other questions top of mind for people? All right, awesome. I just want to say thank you. Thanks mainly to Ellie, who is our content star here at Leland, as well as Amelia. Kristen is kind of the key go-to for Coach Ops. I run the experience here, so you probably see me with more like event stuff these days. And then Ellie around courses and paid content, so Leland Plus, and then Amelia on the organic resources front. So reach out to us on Slack if you ever have any questions. If you reach out to the wrong person, we'll always direct you to the right individual on the Leland team. And we know as we get these processes in place, we'll make sure to keep you looped in on when things are brought on Stack or when our hubs are released and things like that. But mainly, just want to double click and say content is super important. As you saw with Mike's anecdotes, as you've heard from other coaches today, it is so crucial to every part of the coaching process, pre-coaching, during the coaching, after coaching. Your experience with your clients, I think, largely plays out to how you deliver that expertise. And I think content plays a huge part in that. So thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. Ellie, if you don't mind dropping that survey, Kristen sent it over to you. That would be
Yeah.
super helpful.
Let
We're
me drop
currently
that
running
again.
just on the content side of things, we're publishing a lot more editorial pieces, and this one we're working on right now, we need input from coaches. So please, if you have a few minutes, I know this call was scheduled till 12, so you have 9 minutes that we're giving you back. If you don't mind plugging it in, that would be excellent. And yeah, if there's anything else anyone wants to cover, happy to. If not, we'll see you next Friday. Thanks for being here, everyone, and happy weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You
Bye.
guys.
See you soon.